Every weekend, I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other. It's part of who I am. If you ride, you know what I mean. That's why I insure with Shannons. They get it. They share our passion and give us the features riders want, like limited use cover and multi-vehicle discounts. Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. Whatever you ride, ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
Rare Spares has over 50,000 product lines and releases over 500 new products every year. Your local Rare Spares distributor has what you need when you need it. And as the only restoration company officially backed by Holden and Ford, we take our part in your project very seriously. Rare Spares, more than just a part in your project.
Good evening, sim racing fans. Welcome once again to SRW TV. Tonight we jump back into the world of the open wheelers for round 3 of the Shannons F3 Nationals. It's an action-packed super sprint day here at the Hungaroring, where the real F1 cars will also be racing later this weekend. It's Cal, your average sim racer here, together with Hamish Munro, who's once again in front and behind the scenes looking after tonight's action. Mate, it's a triple dose of action coming tonight, wouldn't you say, buddy?
Mate, it is going to be an absolute cornucopia of action around this almost street circuit type of sort of permanent race structure that is the Hungaroring. I mean, I have got both a disdain and a love for this circuit. It's one of my least favorite to drive, especially on the old F1 games. And every time I'd come to race here, it'd be raining, so it'd be just an absolute whale of a time.
I'm chuckling because I heard you mention your disdain for the
Yeah,
Hungaroring a
no,
bit
it's
earlier.
but I tell you what though, it does make for some absolutely epic racing. I remember back to I think it might have been last season of F1 when Ocon took his first win in Formula One. Like just an absolutely just bonkers
Yeah.
race.
But that explains maybe the biggest detractor of this place is commonly called the Monaco without the buildings,
Yeah,
given its sort of tight nature,
yeah.
and it can be difficult to pass. But we've seen time and time again, buddy, these F3s get a tow happen in a draft train, and the car out in front can be a sitting duck.
Well, what we've also seen as well is, and I think you could almost argue that this circuit is almost a perfect combination of the first two tracks that we went to this season in Silverstone and Watkins Glen. It has elements of both in it, and we've seen already how much carnage there has been on both those tracks separately, and hopefully for the viewers at home and for us as commentators, Cowie, we get double the amount of carnage here tonight instead of none of the carnage. So.
Well, look at this, mate. Look at that track map there, and you can see it up there on the screen. It is twisty and windy. There's some sharp bits, and there's some chicanes that can be quite evil. And there's spots where you're going to see these guys really, on the limit of keeping the rear under control. It's going to be so easy to outbrake yourself or carry just that tiny little bit too much speed and lose the rear of the car. And there's a few walls in a few places. I think we might see a few broken F3s tonight, buddy. So that gets on to my question. We'll get that out of the way nice and early, buddy. How many safety cars tonight?
I'm going to say, so it's a triple header of sprint races happening here tonight. So I'll just get the car sounds up on stream as well. I reckon we get at least. I want to be conservative and say 2. My heart says 3 though. I'm going to trust my heart this week because it did me dirty last time and I didn't trust it. So I'm going to say 3. I reckon we're going to get at least 1 per race here tonight.
I'm thinking so, and I think one of those races is going to be epic with a couple of them, because we see, you're going to triple the cold tyre routine is part of my reckoning there. So I'm going to go with 4, buddy.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be action-packed regardless, even if we get 0 safety cars tonight. The cars are going to be close. The action's going to be aplenty. And as I said before, you're going to see people are going to have to push the limit to get a move done, and that's going to put them right on that edge of grip and loss of control.
Look at this timing tab at the moment, Cowie. 1st through 9th is all pro drivers, and it's not until we get to P10 that we get an amateur driver in amongst it in the top 10. Like, it is almost all pro drivers in that top 10 slot at the moment.
Well, it is Phil Vella, who took out the round last week, and he has a 4,000th of a second lead over his teammate. So Phil with a 138.19, and his teammate 4,000th of a second behind him. Michael Cuttajar is a 500ths behind Jay Dixon in P3 with a 38.25. So it's already, and then Matty Jones is a further 10th back there with a 38.39. So the top 5 are all within 2/10.
So I've just
and
changed
David
the
Gallo as well.
I've just changed the info on screen for everyone at home from gap to interval. The difference being gap separates how far away you are from the leader. Interval is how far away you are from the car ahead. And look at it, Cowie. The top
It's
20
all
drivers,
orange,
it's
man.
all orange.
That is an awesome shot there, buddy. If you are enjoying the action out there, guys, please jump in and say hi. Jump in the chat. Let us know who's your favourite driver. While you're at it, give us a like and subscribe. This is the Shannons Formula 3 Nationals here on Sim Racing World. It's awesome to have them on board. Also, big thanks to our other sponsors as well. Grim Industries, Tempting Sweets, Rare Spares, Warren and Brown, Racecraft and Sim Rigs. It is awesome having them all on board. Let's jump on board the Warren and Brown cockpit cam, buddy, and see if we can get Phil to show us around this track from the driver's view.
Yep. Sorry, I was contemplating which one I want to go to, but I do prefer the roll bar cam.
There you go.
Especially in the F3 over the cockpit, but we will jump into cockpit view during the race just to try and feel the intensity of what these drivers are going through in a race setting. But Phil is an absolutely top echelon talented operator in this series. He's taken the win last time out. He finished P2 in both the races the week before. He is on to win this championship at the moment. He is looking stronger than anyone right now, Cowie.
He's got a 35-point lead over his teammate Jay Dixon. It's 39 points back from Jay to Michael Cartajara in P3, who's also had some strong results in the first few rounds this season. Adrian Loretti, the first of the kittens, he's 65 back from the leader. Sorry, there's only 4 points separating Jay and Michael, I apologise. And Darren Fahey is further 7 back from Adrian. So it's DFR Kittens with a privateer in the middle, who's keeps throwing himself in the mix. Michael Cartajar P3 at the moment as well. Look at those times, the top 5, 2/10 separating them.
Race Control has announced as well, Brendan Sopar will start from the pit lane here tonight for impeding, I'm guessing for impeding while someone's on a qualifying lap. So, Race Control not playing around here tonight. We know that, you're not allowed to impede someone when they're on a qualifying lap. It
happened to me last night, and the driver copped a pit lane start for it as well. So, these things do happen in racing, but you've got to keep an eye on that relative, and especially when you're on an out lap. But look at this, he's sliding the car around, full control, Phil Vella, at the moment. 2 minutes of qualifying remaining or thereabouts. Looks like the qualifying tower time is frozen, is that right?
No, it's still rolling. And one thing to remember as well, Carrie, because it's super sprint. Once the 15 minutes is up, that's it. You cannot finish your lap, right? So if it was a regular race tonight, if it was a regular just feature race, then the drivers would be allowed to finish their lap if they're on a lap and the 15 minutes is up. But super sprint and sprint format means once the time ticks over, that's it. Your lap's done. Even if you are about to cross the line and the time ticks over, your lap will not count because you're not able to finish it technically.
It'll just end. It'll go 3, 2, 1, and that'll be the end of your driving, and your wheel will go limp. And if you're in the middle of a corner, it can be quite weird, especially if you're running a heavy setup on a direct drive. Jay Dixon there has jumped to the top. He's taken a further 10th out of his time and half a 10th out of his teammate with a 1:38.13. So they're knocking on the door of the 37s, but I think we're running out of time. Chris Swaddling's on a lap. Nick Ryan, he's got a green sector there as well. Nathan Burney with all oranges coming across the line. I don't think Nathan Gardner's going to improve his time either. Adrian Loretti's got a couple of greens coming there, so he might be in the hunt for some improvement. Currently sitting P10 in this really compressed grid here at the top. He will get across the line. Orange final sector. Is it enough to move him up? No, it is not. 1:38.99. It leaves him in 11th position.
Hodgkinson setting his best time there, but not able to do any better than P23 at the moment. Michael Cartajar on a lap. I'm not sure of the...
He's not going to get a chance to finish it, because that's going to be it. Yep, there we go. And looking at those intervals there, buddy, I mean, that was crazy. I think we're talking down to about 20th something position before we get outside a second in those qualifying times. So that was absolutely crazy. Although we go 12th is a second out. So Jay Dixon for Downforce Racing steals it from his teammate in the dying hour to put it on pole here for race number 3 of our Shannons F3 Nationals. Michael Cuttajar and Matty Jones will share row number 2 there. David Gallo, Scott Pocock with a great result for Red Rocket Racing up onto the 3rd spot on the grid. Sean Malloy and Nick Ryan will make up row 4. Doug Gowans and Darren Fahey rounding out the top 10. So Nick Ryan, one of our amateurs, has got inside the top 10. That's a great drive there. Half a second of the lead time. We look at the outside the top 10, it's Adrian Loretti, Stephen Brooks, Bruce White, Andrew Lydon, Chris Swadling, Brad Hudson, Mitch McIntyre, Cameron O'Brien, Adam Simpson, and Nathan Verney will bring out the final 20. We've got 30 cars out there, my friend. Craig Platter, Nathan Gardner, Callum Hodgkinston, Matt Tesserero, Danny Matisic, Greg Johnson, 2 names together that are tricky. Danny's name's always been tricky for me. Greg Johnson, Wayne Edwards, Jason Chin, Kevin Wakefield, and Brennan Soper, the last car on the grid. This is going to be awesome, buddy. Triple racing tonight, 3 20-minute events. It's 16 litres. The guy's saying they should be able to get home, but if they do get that 13th lap, it might require a little bit of a save if you're not in the tow. But
Yeah.
it is going to be awesome, mate. 30 cars.
It really is. It really is. It's going to be hopefully a highly contested race here tonight. Hopefully one as well that will bring the fire to everyone's screens. Now, I've noticed as well a couple of the drivers I haven't actually been able to set into their classes. I'm not going to touch it.
Well, we got lights, and they are off and racing. So the DFR boys have got away well. Michael Cuttajar with a good jump. I think Matty Jones up on the inside there. He's fighting hard. Can he put pressure on Phil Vella?
As they come into turn
in
1.
At the corner, they're giving each other room. This is good stuff. And I think Matty Jones has got that done. So the performance sim racing machine goes up to P2. A few of the boys going 2-3 wide there at the back. If we have a look, Brad Hudson's up a couple of spots. Adrian already is up 3 at the moment, so that's a great jump from him as well. Jay Dixon has got back past Matty Jones, so the action at the front is aplenty. Look at this train. They're moving around left and right, buddy. Awesome stuff.
These guys are racing hard and fast. Nice and early in this one. Phil with an absolute perfect start there. Was able to help Jay kind of fight the battle against Matty. And look at the contact already! Into the chicane! I tried to click on their name, but Cuttajar come through just at the moment that I went to click.
Oh, that card, does it look broken? No, has he got away with something there?
I don't know. But the thing we need to think about, though, Cowie, is it's the piece of damage that we actually can't see. It's the under tray of these cars that can actually lead to a whole heap of problems. He jumped the front wheel of Jay Dixon, right? You can see Jay just up the road there. He's actually managed to stay ahead of Matty. But it's the under tray that is actually the problem when you actually get one of those incidents, because it will lead to lack of downforce, lack of handling.
Oh, something happened to David Gallo as well.
We will have a look at that in just a moment. But
so I think
remember as well, though, before the race, when we were talking to some of the drivers, they were mentioning they were getting tyre wear very early on into the stint. So underfloor damage is not going to be good for them in terms of wanting to try and mitigate that tyre wear. And mitigate, how well that their car is actually performing.
He's got a 2.5 lead now. Michael Cuttajar, we'll see if he can close it in. If we have a look at the mid-pack, we'll look at a few. Adrian Loretti in P4, up 7 positions. So he's had a cracker of a start. Looks like Darren Fahey behind him. Nick Ryan, Doug Grandpa Gowans, and Bruce White up 5 spots. So all these boys taking big advantage there. We look at our big losers. That's David Gallo down 23. Matty Jones down 22. Sean Malloy down 22. Chris Swadling down 15. So all 4 of those boys copping a big, but we're seeing some big pack movers there.
Here's the replay of Gallo's mishap. I think he's actually been caught up in the Matty Jones. Oh, no, he hasn't actually. He's been spun.
He's lost the wing as well.
He's been turned by someone there. into the corner. I'm not
Oh,
quite
I
sure
don't
who it
know if they
actually
had a
was.
chance. I don't know if they had a chance to avoid that, buddy, but yeah.
Yeah, they were
Yes.
too wide. It's either someone's gone. Yeah, I think they've just collided together.
Yeah, it's contact, wheel contact.
Yeah.
That's probably just a racing incident, though, unfortunately. And the car that came through and clipped him there, I didn't get to see who that was. We'll have to see if they're suffering some damage as well. Stephen Brook falling down the order at the moment. He's down 10 positions, so something's happened to Stephen there. Wayne Edwards and Stephen were having a bit of a battle there.
I'll scroll through to see if anything has actually happened with him. I believe something has. Let's just quickly have a look at the replay. We'll see if it was anything of worry for him. Oh, a bit wide.
He's got out on the dirt there, has he?
Yep. I'm not sure if
Okay.
there's actually a further incident that might have actually... Oh, yep.
Well, he tumbled down the order, so
I've
that
just
maybe
found
is
it.
after it's happened, yeah.
I've just found it here. So, coming into turn 1, Jay Dixon in behind him, going for the move down the inside. Stevens
And
come
he's
through.
just cooked it.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just cooked it. As I said, it's very easy just to go in that little bit too deep and carry a bit too much speed. The rear goes around on you, and you know, with these things, when you're right on the edge of grip, it's so hard to tell if you push that little bit too hard sometimes.
And what this has done
Thanks,
now is from that
So I
incident
just
as
saw
well.
the comment up in YouTube, buddy. Thanks for the broadcast, legends. Cheers, Pricey. Extreme Racing wanted to know how he can join, buddy. If you go to simracingworld.com.au, you can find all the links there to our Discords. Jump on board and have a chat to the boys. You know, and they'll point you in the right direction. Very easy to join. Apologies for interrupting you there, buddy.
No, it's all right. What I was going to say was what that incident now with Matty Jones and Jay Dixon has actually done. It's now promoted Michael Cuttajar into P2 to put the pressure on Phil. Phil no longer has the backup of Jay Dixon in P2 now to defend this position that he was, you know, so worried about. As I've just commentated Kirsten. Yeah, I've just commentated
Matty Jones
Kirsten.
and Wayne Edwards is the moment here. So what's happened here?
So they come around the final corner. Oh, Matty.
Matty's just got up on the curb.
Bit
That's
zealous.
unlucky. Yeah, it's unlucky. It's probably Matty really fighting hard to try and get back through there. And, you know, I mean, again, one of the things about these cars, there's no brake lights on them, so you don't know when the car in front's going to stop.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're faster, you know, than the car in front, you don't know where he's going to brake. You know, sometimes you're guessing. But probably frustration there as well. Oh, Brendan Stoper, something's happened there as well. So there's action aplenty. We did say that was coming thick and fast. What has happened here? So Brendan's
He's come round.
lost the rear, and there's a car rejoining that, and he's been run
believe
off.
That might have been Wayne Edwards because he was involved in an incident with Mitch McIntyre as well.
Oh,
And
no, so we've got to have a look at the full incident.
I tell you what, Cowie, you stole the words right out of my brain when you said action aplenty because I literally had it in the chamber ready to go, and I was going to pull it off. But yeah, so I believe it was actually Mitch McIntyre was involved in that. Andrew Lydon as well has been involved in something. Let's check it out here. For Kittens Racing, coming up underneath the Heineken 00 sign.
Oh, and he's just gone in a bit hotter. Again,
Yeah.
another one of those, you know, faster driver, probably a bit deeper in the pack than he's used to. And, yeah, again, at least in the V8s, mate, you get to see the brake lights. You know, it's a bit hard. Go Grandpa Gowans, indeed. He's up a couple of spots in P7 at the moment, Ray. The big mover is Adrian Loretti, though, P4
Oh, yeah.
and 7 at the moment. I mean, we can look at those movers mid-pack that are having a great race as well. Callan Hodgkinson, Craig Platter, both up 9 spots. Matt Tessio and Danny Matisic up 8 spots in 17th and 16th alike. Steven Sinkovic
Up 11. in this
Up
race.
11.
You know
Yeah,
what?
he's having a good one.
This is not a usual thing that he does, so I'm going to give him the special. Although, as I've just mentioned, I was about to give him something special, and I don't know if he deserves it now because he's just lost a position. But I'll do it properly anyway because he doesn't get this many positions normally. So I've done it a couple times. People who are used to my broadcast will know what it is. So Steve Sinkovich tonight, at the moment, 11 positions gain in this race. He is the biggest mover and shaker so far. And just going back to Adrian Loretti, what I was saying before the race actually started, just quickly. So him, Nathan Verney, and Callan Hodgkinson, they weren't on my list when I adjusted the Pro and AMs. So unfortunately, they don't have.
Here as well.
He is. Unfortunately, just quickly, just to give a little bit of inside baseball, I'm not going to touch it and change their classes during the race because it may actually take away the timing tower. So unfortunately, they're not going to be correct for right now. I will change it after the race. So I have it ready to go next week, and I will make sure I save it as well. So just
he's putting the pressure on Scott Pocock at the moment, though. So this is close. This is the battle for the final podium position for race number 1. Guys, we are already coming up on 9 minutes of our first race. So
we are already halfway through.
Safety car.
No.
Yeah, almost.
There hasn't been a safety car worthy incident, I think, because the incidents we've had this season at both the Glen and at Silverstone, they were safety car worthy incidents. Now, in this case, the drivers were able to keep going, but we're getting to the point now where we were told this is where the tyres can start to go off a little bit, and you can kind of, if you're driving a bit too hard, you can overcook it very easily. So we may be heading into sprinkle territory for a cheeky little promo department safety car. But that's going to be up to the drivers and how well they've actually practiced for this track and how well they know how the cars handle when the tyres are a bit worn as well. Let's head back up the... Oh, actually, Matty Jones has had an incident. Let's quickly check this out. I don't know if Cowie...
No.
I was about to...
Race control was just saying to him that they felt that the incident at the start was self-penalising, and they haven't... Yeah, he's had to... Has he tapped him? I think he's tapped him because that's a redress. Yeah, that's a redress, and it costs another couple of positions. So, Matty's definitely pushing hard and finding it hard from the back there. Yeah,
that's a net code.
Tap.
That's a net code for sure.
Yeah, but I think it's sort of one of those ones that even though it was a net code hit, he still would have made contact. So, I think it's just, you know, when you've got a fast guy at the back pushing hard through, he's just getting those braking markers wrong, and you know, might have to rethink his strategy and focus on race number 2. Well, it is Phil Vella that's got a 1.3 second lead, so he's been able to maintain this gap since the start of the race there, buddy. Michael Carter just doesn't seem to have an answer at this point in time. And we do know what Phil's like. When it gets near the end of the race, he will be pushing hard, trying to set his fastest lap on low fuel at the end of the race.
he'll be pushing to crack a 37 at this stage at the end of this race. I mean, he's the thing is as well, he's on the cusp of it, Cowie. He's done a 138.10 in this race, and Matty Jones has actually just had another incident. Just quickly, we'll check it out. But yeah, he's done a 38.1. So he's only a 10th off cracking a 37. We haven't actually seen a 37. I don't think we even saw one in qualifying. So, but look at this. Matty just spinning around. So he's pushing hard right now, and I reckon he's just cooked the tyres a little bit too much.
Well, I think you're right. I was going to say the same thing. I think he's just overheated those rears, and knowing Matty's not giving it a chance to cool down, he's just going to push harder straight after it. So. But maybe it gives him some information. But at the moment, we are inside the final 8 minutes of this race. Good evening, Greg. Great to have you with us, buddy. And yeah, look, he's just maintaining a nice 1.2 second lead. At the moment, Michael Cuttajar has extended his lead over Scott Pocock to about 2, maybe 3 seconds. But from there back, it's a train of about 4 cars, all within half a second of each other, battling hard. Scott Pocock, Adrian Loretti, Nick Ryan, and Darren Fahey. Even Doug Gowan's the grandpa on the back of that train as well, buddy. Let's jump back to Adrian, because this is getting close. Scott and Adrian. And I thought Nick Ryan was getting a nice run there as well. And see, one of the things that Adrian's going to find at the moment, you sort of pop out to try and make a move on Scott. You know, if Scott defends it, then you leave yourself vulnerable to Nick behind. So you've got to be calculated here.
Just looking at this as well, I've actually just recognised this. So we were questioning who was actually involved in the incident on the first lap before the Matty Jones Jay Dixon incident. I believe it was actually Scott who was the one involved in that with David Gallo. Just recognising the livery that's on the car. Could be wrong, of course, but that livery is one that is looking very familiar from that incident. If we also look at the bottom of the timing tower, Carrie, there is actually a name down there with a couple more positions gained in this race.
14, he's up now.
14!
He's doing all right.
Ah.
I think he may want the tempting sweets driver of the night
Oh,
award.
he just wants to be able to keep some chockies through. There's the saying of who's going to take home the chocolates. It's not necessarily the one who's actually going to get the win, though, when it comes to that saying for SRW TV, because it's who the commentators deem to be the driver of the night. And if he's continuing on this run of form and just gaining position after position, I think he might be in for a favourite to take home those chocolates from Tempting Sweets.
Oh, there's 3 races tonight, so you can't just do it in one. You've got to get it done overall. And we're going to see, remember, race number 2 tonight for the viewers will be a reverse top 10. So at the moment, it's Craig Platter holding that 10th position, all important. He's got just under a second gap to Nathan Verney behind him, and I know Nathan Verney, he will see this as his opportunity to get to the front of the grid for race number 2. So Nathan is going to be hunting this one down. I can tell you now, the fight on here. Jay Dixon also just trying to hang on to that position. I'm pretty sure he's going to have some damage in that car. What sort of times has Jay been doing? He's been in the 1 minute 40s at the moment, so that car is hurting.
Just
no, 38.9, I apologise.
Just to tell you as well, Cowie, so with the, I don't know if it was because you were trying to figure out in your head what the actual gap was earlier when you're talking about Cuttijada Pocock, but the interval on screen is the interval between each driver, not from the leader.
It's about 3.5 now.
Yeah, I've deliberately done that now so we actually know how close each battle is instead of from the leader, because it's a bit easier then. You know, you don't have to try and figure out the math in your head while we talk about it as well. So, yeah, that's the reason why I've changed that.
Yeah,
but
that's good.
We've got 3 laps to go, 4 minutes of racing.
Something's happened to Kevin Wakefield there, buddy, as well. As a moment. Brad Hudson also had a moment as well, according to STK. So, Greg with a bit of curb there, a wiggle. He's just... Yeah, a bit too much speed. Snap, oversteer. That's a tank slapper. That's got him there. And we'll be having a look at Brad Hudson now as well, who's just gone in a little bit hot, lost the rear. Brushed the fence there. We'll have to see how much, if that's done much damage to the car. Craig Platter, Nathan Verney. This is the battle for P10, which translates to P1 for the next race, so you can see why Nathan Verney attacking. We are inside 4 minutes now, 2.5 to go, so they're going to get this lap. Is Phil Vella going to make it around to start the next lap? I think so, so we might have 2 more laps to go.
Well, he's only just started his lap 11. They're doing about 1:38, so I'd say we get both.
He'll probably get the white flag the next time around. So let's go back to that battle with Adrian Loretti, Nick Ryan, and Scott Pocock is close. And we've got to keep an eye on that Nathan Verney one as well, because that battle there is really, really tight as well.
We'll be keeping an eye on that timing tower like a hawk looking at its prey. Just watching the intervals change, and if someone gets a position or someone else loses a position in the vital dying embers of the first race here tonight, Hasn't been as much sort of, safety car worthy action, but there's still been action aplenty. I mean, couple of incidents between drivers and even, self-inflicted incidents as well. Stephen Brooks has had an incident. We'll quickly check it out, and then we'll head straight back to the battle at hand. He's come around the final corner. That's a wide line. Hooks in nice and tight, though. Just runs a bit wide.
Too much wide.
Oh, that is big.
And I don't think that won't bring. It normally would bring out a safety
It
car,
won't
but
bring
we're
it out
inside
now,
a couple
though.
of minutes, so it won't
Yeah.
come out. I noticed before too, Matty Jones jumped to the pits
He
as well,
did.
and I
I
didn't
was-
hear a call for
A toe.
a request to tow, so he may well find a penalty coming as well. Mind you, he's probably going to be near the rear of the grid for the next race in any case. Alright, Phil Vella. Look, something's happened to Michael Cuttager, I think. Or he's just given up, because that gap is now about 4 seconds. But Phil Vella, keep an eye on his sector times if we can, buddy. Because I'm telling you, he will be going for his fastest lap here.
I'll see if I can get it up on the tower. I don't know if I can actually get sector times. I can get the last time that he did on the lap.
Yeah, no,
But
I'd say that.
I will keep an eye on, though, if his best lap goes
Well, he's
better.
certainly driving it hard and pushing. The battle's behind. We've got to keep an eye on Nathan Verdi, Craig Platter. I think
Verdi's
Nathan's
just gotten
him. Just gotten him. So I was keeping a close eye on that. And
Platter's dropping back. He's actually had an incident, Cowie.
oh no! So pushing hard. He's got up on the curb there, carried a lot of speed.
Top of the hill,
Yeah.
exactly
And
where
just the
Hudson went in the
curb.
wall. And they are dropping like flies at the moment, Cowie. Wakefield and Matisic have also both had an incident, but it's not time to look at those. It's time to look at the leader. Phil Vella will take victory 2 races in a row and will win here tonight for the first of 3 races. Oh no, he's been given the white flag. So this is the last lap now.
I
was
thought there
just-
would be an
You
extra
know
lap,
what?
yeah.
I was
Did
just
say it.
expecting that he got the white flag last lap because we said he might get it, but this is white flag lap. Vella has to. Hopefully, I haven't just absolutely jinxed him and just like now he's gonna have an incident. But since we have started the last
Jay
lap,
Dixon and Bruce White are battling hard backpack as well, buddy. So you're gonna have a look to see what happened to Kevin. Is this?
yep, Kevin Wakefield.
Oh,
at the
okay,
moment.
so Kevin's just gone a bit deep. Yeah, too much speed. Looks like he's going to lose the rear there. Whether it's cold tyres or...
It just looks like the car is
Oh, here
not,
we go.
planting properly. So here's the Matisic incident. Top of the hill. I reckon he's caught curb. Yep, straight in the wall. We've
Yeah.
seen it. Oh, that's big as well. That would have been
Man.
a safety car if it was, timely manner for a safety car. But not to be here tonight. I mean, what a race though by Phil Vella.
All of the F3 damaging action has happened right at the end of the
It
session
has.
inside the final 5 minutes.
Ah,
But it just also goes to show these guys right down the grid are pushing super hard to try and, get the overtakes done. I mean, they do refer to this place as Monaco without the buildings. I think Bernie Eccleston, he wanted a Grand Prix in Russia, and his mate said that Budapest is probably a better option, and he did. Well, Phil Vella agrees as he goes across the line to take out race number 1 tonight. That will be a P10 start for race number 2, but he can enjoy the victory, has done it easy. Michael Cuttager looks like he's done enough to hold off Scott Pocock, who has really closed in on him towards the end of that lap. Adrian Loretti unable to get Scott, so that was a great battle going on for the majority of that race, and Scott Pocock for Red Rocket Racing able to keep hold of that final podium position for race number 1. Now, buddy, we're not going to get a chance to breathe because we're going to be straight into the next race at the moment, so make sure you don't leave your seats, guys. Once the final car crosses the line, it'll be 3, 2, 1, and then it'll be a minute, and we'll be starting again.
I got a good question for you, Cowie, and I noticed it come up on my phone before in my what used to be my race team group chat, but is now just my friends group chat about motorsport. The return, the big news of Daniel Ricciardo returning to Formula One obviously was the big news of either last week or the week before. How do you think
Certainly
he's
was.
going to go on his return to Formula One, being that it is at the Hungaroring, where he took, I believe, his second victory in F1 when he was with Red Bull?
If he doesn't loop the car in the practice, I think he'll be on for a top 10, because I can see that he's returning to a car that, you know, suits his driving style. Pointy, you know, flicky at the rear, even though it's not the same precision beast of the Red Bull RB19. I think it's still going to be a lot better than the McLaren and what he had to drive for those couple of years.
I think
Alright.
the only problem is, just quickly, the AlphaTauri is arguably the second worst car on the grid. So
I was just going to say, it's the worst car at the moment. It's
Yeah.
you know, only car with, I think they've got 2 points this season,
yeah,
courtesy of 2 10th places from Yuki Tsunoda.
yeah.
But you were given the jinx here, buddy. Steven Sinkovic has crashed right near the end
know.
of the race.
I know he had
And
multiple.
he finished 10
incidents.
spots up,
He did.
but he was 15 up at one stage, so maybe ate too many of those chocolates, buddy.
Oh, he might have. He very well might have. But
Well,
here's our
there
results.
is the results for heat number 1, race number 1 tonight. I've already spoken about the top 5. Sorry, it was Nick Ryan that wrapped up the top 5. So Darren Fay, Doug Gowans, Bruce White, Jay Dixon, Nathan Verning taking out the 10th position there, and will have himself on pole. So for race number 2, Callan Hodgkinson, Andrew Lydon, Brad Hudson, Adam Simpson, he was a good recovery because he was in the 20s for qualifying as well. Craig Platter, well, Craig had a great run, and unfortunate what happened there. David Gallo, Cameron O'Brien, Sean Malley, Chris Swadling, and Nathan Gardner wrapping out your top 20. So it's going to be interesting. Matty Jones going to be right at the back of this field. He's going to be fighting his way through, but we've seen also, mate, 30 cars out there. It's pretty congested. It's a tight Monaco-style track. All right, here are the lights. We go on race number 2. Oh, and that was Steven Sinkovic pretty slow from the back there. We go to the front, and it's Jay Dixon getting a great launch up the inside on Nathan Verney. That's also Adrian Loretti's got a pretty good launch in the middle there as well.
Oh,
We go,
someone's rotated.
that's Bruce White has looped it and lost the rear wing in the process. Someone's taken out his nose, as would have lost their nose in that incident there as well.
It was Matt.
too deep. Who's that?
That's
Cameron Bryan,
O'Brien.
too deep there with contact.
It was your favourite driver, by the way, Cowie, or at least the favourite driver for you to pronounce, Matt Tessariero. Off the start.
Tessariero there.
You're lucky, actually. I was going to mention to you, actually, you're lucky that Scott Barton wasn't starting around those 2 drivers in the first race, but Dixon and Verney.
Look at this. Nathan Verney trying to attack Jay Dixon. He's got past, but Jay's quickly got that spot back again. Bruce White is P3 at the moment, is that right? Yeah, no, so it wasn't Bruce caught up in that moment. It was the grandpa, Doug Gowans. Oh no, he was having such a great race, finished P7 in race number 1, and he's got caught up in that. Was it Chris Swadling, Matt Tessariero, Adrian Loretti's got caught up. Something's happened to Adrian as well. He's back 14 positions. Well, 13 now, but got caught up in that. I think he might have had to get out of it. But, oh, wow, buddy. I'm going to lose my voice at this rate because the action is massive. All right, so here we go. Oh, no,
That was really well caught. That could have been. Actually, you know what? Phil Vella is a perfect example of how much worse that actually could have ended up for Adrian then.
I think Adrian he saw the car on the inside scooting over the curb, and he thought to give him as much room as he could.
That is
And that's
massive
what
in
threw it
behind. Sorry to interrupt. I just saw a massive incident in behind at the last corner there, Cowie. That was Mitch McIntyre into the wall.
Oh,
Please, SDK, let me go back and have a look at that. Oh my God. A wild incident. Watch this. Runs wide. And look at that. Bang. And surely that's got to be a safety car, because he will not be able to get that back to the pits.
that will bring out the promo department safety car for the evening, I would think.
I mean, you'd hope. from the claims that we made of I believe what it was. Was it
jumped
3?
to the pits.
He did.
Mitch jumped to the pits. Race. So Mitch has jumped to the pits. So, and a couple of drivers on the radio there just asking if that was constituting a safety car, but no, Mitch towed. So that will likely be a penalty for Mitch, even though he'd be at the back of the field regardless. But we have a look at the front, and Jay Dixon has got a 1.2 second lead over Nathan Burney. Now those tyres up the temp, he's starting to stamp his authority on this race. Nathan Burney P2 at the moment. I think he bogged down a little bit on the line, but he did do enough to hang on to P2. Bruce White with a great jump behind him. He's sitting in P3 at the moment. And Darren Fahey was the kitten that I saw firing up the inside there. I thought it was Adrian Loretti, but no, that's the darker colour there. It would have been Darren Fahey, so I apologise. Darren, great move from you, and he is also up a position at the moment. Michael Cartajar behind him, up 5. So Michael's managed to stay clear of the mayhem. Phil Vella, something happened to Phil Vella because he's down 16. So I think Phil might got caught up in that moment early on as well. As he finds himself well back.
That incident where Adrian Loretti almost collided with the wall super hard, that was Phil who actually went in even worse than Adrian at the top of the hill. So I think that was what caught him out there. I mean, being mid-pack, you know, kind of just having to... Yeah, I think he was trying to avoid Adrian, and then that's kind of caused him just to clip there, because that curb is almost a curb of death in a low-lane car like the F3, you know, with a flat bottom. So it just kind of picks it up and then rotates it like you're on roller skates. So, but yeah, not very good for him. But luckily, though, luckily for Downforce Racing, they still have a driver in the lead of this race, being Jay Dixon. So they still could be on for a double win out of the first 2 races here tonight, as long as Jay, fingers crossed for him, can keep it clean, Cowie.
Well, it's going to be interesting in the other series we've got running. This is our Shannons F3 Nationals here tonight, round 3. But we've also been running a concurrent, I should say, championship that has been following all of the F1 tracks. So where iRacing has an F1 track and they're racing that week, the F3s race as well. Where it doesn't, then, you know, it's either been a driver choice or race controlled. You know, and the admins deciding a track that maybe is similar in design or racing to the actual real world track that week, because we don't have Azerbaijan and Bahrain in iRacing, but we do have the Hungaroring, so that's where we are tonight. Now, our series leader in the F1 series is Daniel Byrne. He's away on a cruise on holidays at the moment. He missed last week, which was a non-F1 round, but he's also missing this week, so his 380-point lead is going to tumble a bit, but mind you, that's a pretty healthy lead to be leaving a championship for a few weeks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just quickly as well, Race Control announcing before, Craig Platter has been given a drive-through for avoidable incident on lap 1, so he will have to make a trip down the lane. He's also given up positions right now that he does not want to drop, so he's kind of getting eaten alive right now.
A few of these guys trying to take advantage of it at the moment.
Wayne Edwards has had an incident. Let's check this out.
Phil Vella
has
had a moment as well.
Oh my God.
Wayne Edwards has launched it. And their safety car, the Promo Department safety car, is finally out on track. So I predicted 4, you predicted 3. It's taken a little bit to come, but finally the Promo Department puts in an appearance.
We can see it there driving out of the lane. Once it hits the track, we will get the graphic up on screen. Here it comes. So Promo Department safety car just missing the leader. So this means that Jay Dixon will actually be able to drive almost at full pace now around the rest of the lap until he actually catches the safety car once again. But I think this will actually mean that we're likely only actually going to get one safety car in this race, because by the time number 1 the drivers actually catch up to it, and then by the time it rotates around to have the whole field back behind it again, we're likely going to be only 4 or 3 laps away from the end. So
Or about, what, 7.5 minutes into this race now, so 12.5 to go. It's safety car will generally take 4 or 5 minutes out of the race.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. We're going to sort of come back and maybe have a 4, maybe 5 lap sprint to the end.
And
it will definitely take 2 or 3 laps out of this motor race.
And depending as well on what the length is on the actual last race here tonight. So if the last race is 20 minutes, pretty much for me to be right in my prediction, there needs to be an incident on lap 1 to then have a safety car, and then there needs to be an incident right after the safety car comes in. Otherwise, it's now impossible for that to happen, knowing that they don't call it with around about 5 or so minutes to go in the race. So unless it was like the whole field that had an incident with like 7 minutes to go, I highly doubt they're going to call another one in this race.
I reckon the last sort of 10, 15 minutes of racing has been the action pack. So it's like everyone came here tonight and it's been nice and calm and well measured and everything. And then you give them sort of 10 laps on the track and they turn into animals and start attacking each other. No. Not quite, but this has been good battles so far, and you can see that being such a tight, twisty, windy track, there are guys looking to carry a little bit extra speed here, brake a little bit later there, trying to, get the advantage on the car in front. And once you start doing that, you're driving right on the edge, and you're driving so hard just to try and keep up with the guy in front of you that you're so much closer to making those little mistakes. And there's not many of us out here that are real world racers. There's not many of us at all in sim racing that are professionals, and do it for a living. So, I suppose, we're not all Max Verstappens. I mean, that guy doesn't seem to make any mistakes. But, put a bit of pressure and
anything can happen.
Action around you, and you're right on the limit. It doesn't take much just to tip you over that little bit.
No, for sure. And what this will actually do now is it'll actually help just kind of settle the tyres down as well. And this may actually lead to... It's going to lead into 2 directions. It's going to lead to cold and slightly warm tyres, which is then going to lead to incidents. Or it's going to lead to not overheated tyres, but a little bit warm. And a little bit worn and warm, I should say. So the driver shouldn't be as sort of at risk as race 1 will say. Now, the question I was going to ask you, Cowie, going back to the fact that this race was a reverse top 10, because I haven't actually experienced a super sprint round before in SRW TV. What's the go for the starting grid on the second race? On the third race, sorry.
Race tonight.
Is it a continuous
top 5?
Ooh. You know what? I would have thought actually it would actually be really interesting to have a reverse top 15 or a whole reverse grid. A reverse grid race would be really fun.
Ask Matty Jones what he thinks about that. So at the moment, Matty's up 13 positions, sitting P17. So he's managed to keep himself clean of in this race. But, again, right in that mid-pack. And when you've got a speed advantage and you don't have any indicator on the car in front to tell you when he's going to stop.
Yeah.
I reckon that's going to be, you've got to really drive carefully. Though, again, he'll be happy that there is a safety car out there because that bunches everyone back up again, gives him a chance to maybe make a few positions in one foul swoop.
The biggest mover of this race so far, Cowie, is Stephen Brooks. You know what? I'll give him the special. I'll give him the special treatment as well. 16 positions gained in this race. He's absolutely flying so far. Matisic is up 11, as we mentioned. Jones up 13 as well. Those guys are all packed around each other in the same group of 5 cars, separated by Loretti, who's down 7, and by Johnson, who's up 7.
Well, I was going to say one other here that is impressing me is Brad Hudson as well. He's up 7 spots, but that's into P6.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's some good driving there. Oh, that's right. Well, at the moment, it would be Nick Ryan holding that P5 position at the moment. So he's in the pole seat for race number 3. But yeah, look, Adrian Loretti down 7. I know he was down more, so he's done a good recovery. But you're right. I think Nathan Gardner, Adam Simpson. Remember, Adam Simpson was right down the back. He made, I think it was 10 or so spots in the last race. He's up 5 and inside the top 10 in 9th spot. So just a couple of names there. I'm keeping an eye out for this Tempting Spreets Award. Jace Douglas saying go Bruce. Bruce is having a pretty good race, but what's happened to him? He's got caught up and he's pitted. So Bruce must have picked up damage there somewhere. And he's pitted to fix the car, buddy, because he's back in 26.
And
he was running in P3, P4 at one stage.
Also, what's happened now is, so from that incident as well with Phil Vella, he's unfortunately, which is what actually caused a safety car, he's still in the pits at the moment, fixing his damage, licking his wounds. So he's pretty much out of this race in terms of contention. He will start from the rear of the grid in the next race. So he's going to have to really... We could see something absolutely phenomenal of having him, you know, just pick his way through the field, because arguably he's faster than everyone out there, apart from maybe Jay, who has enough speed to actually build the gap enough. But that's going to be one thing to watch. It's just how many spots he can get.
For Jay tonight. This could be championship deciding, because he's, you know, scored some okay points in race number 1. He's at the front of race number 2, and if it stays as easy, we'd be still near the pointy end for race number 3. And, you know, a couple of his fast rivals fallen away. Though Michael Carterjar, P3, he's having a great run. He's up 6 in this race and back near the front of this race. All right, they have restarted. Jay got a pretty good launch there. Nathan Verney, well, he's under pressure from Michael Carterjar. Oh, who's that guy up the inside?
Was Nick. That's Nick Ryan, is it?
Nick Ryan trying to go up the inside there. I think a little bit of contact, but he's got out of it there. He's going to now put him under the hammer of Bradley Hudson behind him. Scott Pocock, he's in P7 at the moment, so up only 1 position on his starting run with a great P3 in race number 1. And it's Callan Hodgkinson, Adam Simpson, and David Gallo bringing out the top 10 at the moment. So we have just over 5 minutes to go, so maybe 3, maybe 4 laps.
Yeah, I'd say, I'd say 4, maybe. No, minute and a half each. Probably more or less 3 actually.
Well, Jay Dixon and Nathan Verney here. Nathan Verney had some great results last season. I don't think he's quite on the pace of the sort of top 5, and you can see Jay already sort of getting that gap out to about a second. But Jay will be happy that Michael Carterjar is stuck behind Nathan Verney at the moment, because this is giving him a nice buffer.
Well, this is a really good indication of the differences of the elite drivers in the field and the upper echelon drivers in the field. Now, the elite are the ones who are, you know, winning a lot. They're in the hunt every single race. They're in the top 5. And the upper echelon drivers, those guys are good. Those guys on their day are as fast as those elite drivers, but they're not as consistently fast as those other drivers. They're not in the hunt as often, and that is the difference maker. I mean, you know, it's like the comparison of pro versus amateur, but sometimes you have a pro who's elite and a pro who's upper echelon, but they're both as fast as each other on a single lap. So, you know,
what you find is, you know, I mean, and they talk about this in racing circles. It's all about, you know, sort of where the edge of grip is, where your edge of grip is, your personal edge of grip, and the guys that are that little bit faster, they've got a greater margin for error. They've got a higher, you know, point where they're right on the edge of their grip. So it means that they can drive a little bit below it and still, you know, be able to put in quick lap times and consistency. Whereas when you're right on the edge of your grip limit, your edge of your spatial skill level, then you're only one tiny little mistake away from it all going wrong. And that's that consistency you're talking about.
I tell you what as well, one thing I remember watching an interview with Jenson Button years ago, and the reason I mention this is for when rain comes into play in iRacing. So he mentioned that the reason he is so good at racing in the wet is because when he used to practice in his go-kart in the wet, his dad could only afford slick tires. He actually couldn't afford wet tires. And it's the same thing of why Ayrton Senna was so good in the wet was because he only practiced on slicks in the wet. And that, again, that's
Schumacher
about...
was the same. He
Yeah.
could only afford old rubber.
Yeah.
So, you know, every time he raced, even in the dry, it was on, you know, old, used, hand-me-down tyres.
Yeah. So
Stuff like that,
it might be something for drivers to actually want to take their driving to the next level when rain comes in, because it's going to be new for everyone.
Oh,
You know, think about it, that if you want to take it to the next level, and there's probably going to be a lot of wet races happening when rain first comes out, practice on slicks.
I think you're going to need your own safety rating and I rating for just wet racing.
Yeah, I think so.
I think people are going to go near it if it affects their proper I rating.
So I think... Oh, that was
watching
close.
Jay right on the edge of the grip there for those chicanes, taking a fair chunk of them. But at the moment, he's doing well. And Nathan Verney's doing a great job of holding off Michael Cuttajar behind him at the moment, too. So Nathan just, again, another one of those wheels we said, maybe not outright as quick as the Jay Dixons and Phil Vellas and Matty Jones and Michael Cuttajars of SRW. But, you know, give him, track position, and he can put that car straight and make it as wide as a barn door. And, you know, we see, okay, looks like there's a moment there. Greg Johnson and Cameron O'Brien have had a coming together, I think, buddy. I know we're getting near the end of this motor race, and I think that was white flag just getting waved by Barney as well. All right, so it's contact there. Contact again. So they've been stuck together. So...
Jason Douglas has also put a comment in the chat as well. Slicks on wet track make people learn to drive. Now,
learn how to skate, you mean? Learn how to skate.
The reason I mention it is a really good way to actually learn how to drive in the wet, because you are forced to be a little bit conservative, but find where your grip level is, because the grip level margin is so small on slick tires. And then you'll realize when you go on the wet, I actually have grip for once, and you're able to push a bit harder. I don't know whether it will actually work as well.
I think it was race control was commenting on one of the recent incidents.
Okay. Well,
and I think there might have been a bit of net code and flashing involved, the way they sort of appeared inside each other, I think, is what they're saying. So that was Cameron and Greg Johnston there. And I think Cameron was just explaining himself on the radio. But we're getting inside this is either going to be the final lap or the white flag. I think this is the final lap.
It should be.
I saw
because we're over 20
Barney
minutes.
waving here. So Jay Dixon, with only a few corners to go.
We are above 20
minutes.
Done. So he should get it done now. Round the final corner. Just needs to keep it nice and tight. He doesn't want to run wide on exit, because we've seen what can happen. It can force you into the wall.
There it is.
And Jay Dixon for Downforce Racing takes out victory in race number 2. It's a Downforce double so far here tonight on our terrible triple of Super Sprint action here for the Shannons Formula 3 Nationals. Verney will take out P2. Cuttajar will take out P3. Fahey in P4. Nick Ryan P5, which means he will start on pole. Sorry, should have taken a breath there for race number 3. I'm getting choked up. There's just so much excitement about it. Brad Hudson as well, P6.
Yeah, great result, up 7 spots. The Scott Pocock P7. Callum Hodgkinson P8. David Gallo up 7 spots into P9. Adam Simpson continues his charge up the field. I think up another 4. So far Adam up, I think that is about 15 or 16 positions in the 2 races. Nathan Gardner up another 9 into P11, so he's had a good race. Matty Jones up 18 spots in that race, P12. So he definitely had a frustrating race number 1 and pushed a little bit too hard. So I think he learned his lessons driving in the middle of that slower pack, and he's done well to grab 18 spots. I'm sure the safety car helped. Andrew Lydon finished down, and then Cameron O'Brien, Kevin Wakefield, David Gallo, Michael... oh no, the order's all been twisted up on me now. There it is there, thanks buddy.
You're right.
So outside the P10, Nathan Gardner, Matty Jones, Andrew Lydon, Adrian Loretti, Sean Malloy, Danny Matisic, Stephen Brooks with a good recovery there as well, Chris Swadling, Craig Platter and Doug Gowans, and Doug was one of the ones got caught up early on in that race. Bruce White, another running at the front of that field, got caught up in the mayhem, found himself in 21st. Wayne Edwards, I think, was one of the cars that lost it there at the start. Steven Singovich, well, Steven was having a great race, number 1. Looks like he has, he was up about 20th, I think, after race number 1, so I think he's gone down a couple of spots now. Kevin Wakefield, Matt Tessiero, Mitch McIntyre, Cameron O'Brien, Greg Johnson, and Brendan Soper and Phil Vella will start at the rear of this grid. So, look, it's going to be interesting rain, Jace. I do agree with you in karts. I remember the few times that I've been at the kart track when it rains, and it's great being out on slicks in a kart. Phil Vella. So we have about a 10-minute warm-up here now, I think, buddy. So, there might be a few guys out here. You can't tweak the setup. It's a fixed setup series. So maybe just, making sure he's red hot for race number 3, because he's going to have a whole ton of work ahead of him.
He will. We'll drag his teammate in, Jay Dixon, to have a chat to us. Jay, welcome into the broadcast booth, mate. Massive congratulations there on your victory for race number 2. And then by proxy, congratulations to Phil on a victory in race number 1. But also, our condolences for race number 2 for him there. Unfortunately, ending up at the rear of the field. But, man, you were in the lead there, and you just never were under pressure pretty much for the majority of that race. I mean, you still look to be above the rest, apart from maybe Phil, who got caught in the wars a little bit.
Yeah, no, Nathan was there or thereabouts the whole time. There was definitely no slacking off. I was definitely doing quali laps that whole race, but yeah, look, I had a bad race 1, Phil had a bad race 2, so hopefully we can both have a reasonable race 3.
Well, it's going to be tough for him because he's starting from the rear of the field, so he's going to have to pick his way through, try and get up to you there up the front. I mean, now it's kind of like, well, you can't really rely on him to be up there to give you a hand. You're just going to have to push ahead now and try and get up the front once again. Starting at a P5 this race, are you going to kind of just try and get up the front early, or you think you're just going to try and work your way through a bit nice and slow? Because there's been a couple of mistakes made by drivers, namely Matty Jones, who took you out in the first race. So you think now it's going to be more conservative that's actually going to be your benefit, or do you think if you can get up the front early, that's going to benefit you more, depending on the risk that you're going to have to take to get there?
Yeah, look, a bit of both. I think lap 1, you've just got to take it a little bit more careful. Matty apologised after the hit in race 1, so yeah, that's all cool. To be honest, I overshot the previous 3 corners. That's why Phil got in front. So it's tricky on cold tyres at the start of the race. So and it's pretty easy to loop it or do something silly on lap 1. So yeah, look, lap 1's all about just settle in, and then from there we'll go forwards hopefully.
I was going to say, is it the curb around about sort of T6, is it, where it's pretty much a curb of death if you get up on it? And I think Phil was trying to avoid it and ended up on it himself.
Yeah, there's a few curbs here where if you take it with warm tyres, it helps the car turn a bit, but if you take it on cold tyres, you end up facing backwards. So, yeah, it's this fine balance between using the curbs to your advantage and not getting undone by them.
And look, the quality of the field, buddy, it's getting pretty tight at the front. Was the top 5 or 6 of you are barely separated by a 10th in qualifying. And then, you throw a bunch of us average racers in the middle of it, mate. It's a bit of a cauldron out there.
I love it. I love the big fields, actually. I'm a big fan of, big grids in iRacing. It's, if you've got 10 people that are all exactly the same pace, then 10 people can be good. But yeah, I like a good mix of people in there. So I'm really happy with the Pro-Am format this season. So yeah, thanks to the fellas who came up with that idea.
Well, buddy, it has been a pretty awesome show to watch so far, mate. Yeah, have you got any advice for Phil fighting from the back there?
Keep your nose out of trouble. You can't finish without a front wing.
that is like the Oh, it's probably the most obvious statement you can make, but it's pretty hard when you're having to literally run through an absolute war zone at times. I mean, he's
I was gonna say, does
he's
he
almost
need
like
it
a
coming down?
he's almost like
Does
a
he need
he's
some coming down?
yeah. I mean, he's almost like a messenger running through the trenches. I mean, just trying to avoid all of the issues that may encounter him across the whole field. But I mean, it's going to be a massive challenge for him, but he has got the pace to do it. But I think it's going to be both interesting to watch him attempt to do that, but then also you having to fight these guys that are around you. We mentioned on the broadcast, I mean, there are some drivers that are on like an elite level, and I guess you and Phil are two drivers that are up on that level at this stage. And then there's drivers who are kind of upper echelon who are on their day just as fast as you, but maybe not as consistently fast as you. So they might not be able to do the lap times you're able to do every single lap. I think, you know, you've got Kadajar up there, who's on your elite level, but then you've also got like Vernie and Ryan, who are that upper echelon. Do you think those guys are actually going to be able to bring the challenge to you and Kadajar up the front, or do you think maybe you guys, once you're in a little battle with yourselves, and if you're up the front, you might be able to walk away a little bit from them?
Look, yeah, I think the pace of there's a few guys in there that I didn't write them off, but there's a few names in there that are a lot higher up the order and consistently quicker than I thought they would be, based on the last season. So it's good to see both a little bit of improvement overall from quite a few of them. But the Kadajar's definitely on pace, and he's always on pace. So like finishing in front of him is a huge effort. Basically, it's one tiny mistake and he'll be passed because he's just relentless, lap after lap kind of thing. It's almost like that Greg Bradley pressure, as Phil would say.
Now, Monaco without the buildings, would you agree with this track, buddy?
Yes, no, it's a little bit more open. It's definitely hard to pass. If the car in front doesn't want you getting past, you're not getting past. If you're on real defensive lines, you can keep someone behind pretty well here. But there's a few opportunities, but you've really got to have cooperation from both parties when you do it.
I made the comparison at the start of the broadcast. This track's almost like a perfect combination of the tracks we've already been to this season, being Silverstone and Watkins Glen. I mean, it has traits of both, even with a couple of other traits mixed in from maybe some other circuits as well. Do you think this, this track has been the bane of my existence for years, especially on the F1 games, because I'd always rock up and it would be raining, and I have a poor qualifying, so I'd be starting towards the rear of the grid. It's a tough one, but it's such great racing to watch sometimes. I think it, do you think it...
Is it a fan of yours?
like-
I was going to say, are you a fan of it?
No, are you a fan of it, number one? But are there any other tracks that you think this kind of has pieces of in amongst its certain sections of its actual track layout, I guess you could say, or its characteristics?
I think it's relatively unique. It's got a couple aspects of some other tracks, but firstly, I love the track. It's a really good track. It's great for hot lapping. It's not the best for racing wheel to wheel. It's you kind of squeeze yourself out through those chicanes. So if you can't get the move done before turn 5 or so, then you've got to kind of settle in and wait until the start finish straight again. Look, it's a lovely track to drive, but it's a tough track to race.
Well, buddy, we better let you go because we're coming up to about a minute of the warm-up left. Mate, well done on race number 2. Good recovery to get inside the top 10 in race number 1. And, it's not going to be easy, buddy. You've got a few guys in front that are going to want the W pretty bad, so good luck.
Thanks, fellas.
Well, buddy, got about a minute of the warm-up left. I did want to mention Phil Vella, just to spice things up for us. He has done a 37.7 in the practice.
Now, I need to openly say this in case Phil actually watches this back. How dare you? How dare you just pull out a 37 lap time in a warm-up? Like, what are you going to produce in the race?
I think he maybe means business, but we'll
Yeah.
have to see, because there is a lot of F3s in front of him and the front runners that he's going to have to deal with. So I think knowing Phil, look, Phil seems to be a very consistent driver, very hard to rattle, and he can get into the zone and just lap after lap. Now, he can't do that from the back of the grid because there's all these other cars in front of him. But I think what you're going to see is a patient driver in the lead will mean a patient driver at the back too.
Yeah.
So I'd be expecting him to try and be getting near that top 10 and he would be absolutely stoked with that. And I'm sure he's going to have some fun fighting his way through the field too. All right, here is the grid for race number 3, our feature for tonight. All thanks to Shannons. This is the Shannons Formula 3 Nationals. Warren and Brown Tools, our round sponsor. It will be Nick Ryan who will be leading the field away. Alongside him, Darren Fahey for Kittens Racing. NLRA for Nick. I missed what actual race team that is, so I do apologise there. Michael Cuttajar, our privateer without the mic, P3. Nathan Verney for Locked On Banter in P4. Jay Dixon, Downforce Racing, P5. Brad Hudson for JWM Motorsports, P6. Brad has had a great double races here. Scott Pocock, Cullen Hodgkinson for Chris Cross and Red Rocket. And the row 5 was David Gallo and Adam Simpson's running at the top 10. Be Nathan Gardner, Matty Jones, Andrew Lydon, Adrian Loretti, Sean Malloy, Danny Manasich, Stephen Brooks, Chris Swadling, Chris Platter, Doug Gowans, Bruce White. Well, we've got the lights coming up in a moment, so I'll have to stop there as we now go. And it's a good start there from Darren Fahey. Looks like he's trying to get across. Michael Cuttajar going around the outside. Is he going to have the impetus to get to out front for T1? Oh, he's done it by the looks of that. The great guy, Jay Dixon, trying to go around the outside. He's been hung out to dry there a little bit. And Nathan Verney trying to hold that inside line, but it's going to be Nick Ryan that will go up the inside of him into T3. So the boys starting to settle in here, but a few still going 2 by 2 back there in the middle of the pack, buddy. This is awesome.
Mate, 3 wide into turn 1. That's a spicy decision, I guess you could say, but it didn't end in tears, luckily, here tonight.
So that Brad Hudson going wide there, but he's come back on safely. Might be a slowdown in the middle of that. Callan Hodgkinson, I think it might have been Callan because he's got caught up in that there as well, and I think he maybe had a slowdown. Oh, it's a big lock up there from, who was that? A couple in front. It's Cameron Bryan, I think, and Bruce White battling hard. There's a big lock up from Cameron there. Phil Vella already up 6 spots, and now trying to run around the outside of Mitch McIntyre there as well. We go to the front, and it is Michael Cuttajar and Darren Fahey who have gotten away. So Michael with a great run down the straight. He got an excellent launch and was able to swoop around the outside to get it done. That was almost a Max Verstappen move, buddy.
Let's check out some of the incidents that happened on lap 1. Kevin Wakefield early on here. You can see at top of the hill coming into the rolling right, turns in a bit too hard, and then just
contact on that. It was on Phil Vella, I think, as well. So maybe Phil up the inside there, and Kevin didn't realise he was there. I think Phil might have got away with that without too much damage.
Greg Johnson as
what's
well.
happened there? Oh, the car in front. Something's happened there. Oh, is that Brendan Soper? Something's happened because his car almost stopped, and Greg had to pull up.
There was. It was Brendan Soper. Doug Gowans as
Brendan's
well.
car turned off or something like that because he broke really, really early there. All right, going back with another race. So this is Doug Gowans, who's going in a little bit hot on cold tyres. Oh, Doug, I was going to say you did really well to recover that, and then he's rejoined. Unfortunately, that's probably going to... Who's that into the fence there? Adam Simpson.
It might have been Bruce White, Danny Matisic, maybe?
No, not Bruce White. He's still... Oh, he's out on... safety is being called. Here we go. So Bruce got turned and, yeah, trying to roll off the track. Didn't realise there was someone going around the back there. Wow. There's a little bit for race control to unpack there. Well, 2 safety cars. Race control is called it out already. So that's 2 tonight, buddy. I think 3 is probably looking like it might be on the money. I don't think 4.
I did say that if they were going to have 3, it would have to be within the first lap of the last race. So my bet is still not dead in the water just yet, because there is a possibility of a safety car being called as soon as the race restarts again. But
safety cars do breed safety cars, buddy.
They do. So
guys, there, if you are enjoying the action, please let us know. Throw your comments up in the chat. Who do you think's the driver of the night? At the moment, Matty Jones is up another 6 spots. So he's looking all right this race, up into P6 now, and that safety car will bring him back into the 4. Phil Vella up 9 spots in 21st.
But he's in the
I
pits.
think Phil's coming in to get, he's going to fix that car under the safety car conditions. That's Adam Simpson out in the fence, was it?
Yes, it was.
Yep. Yeah. It did look like a fishy machine out there. Unfortunately, we got Jason Chin. I think we're missing Jason tonight. He was there earlier.
Yeah, he hasn't. And same with Chris Ansell. They both weren't here in time to actually join the race. Unfortunately for them. Currently, the rear of the field, as mentioned, was Adam Simpson, who's currently stuck in the wall. Mitch McIntyre is the final car on the row of drivers actually on track, although Brendan Sopar has just taken that. Although I believe he might be parked up as well. So I believe Mitch McIntyre may be the last driver on the list to actually be rotating currently on the lead lap. Sopar is now back out on track after having to tow. So just, incidents aplenty so far. That's kind of been the running gag of this season is, you get a lot more drivers in temperamental cars. Boy, it makes for a great show, doesn't it, Cowie?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I'm finding it difficult to work out who's going to be our Tempting Sweets driver of the night, because at the moment there's been some awesome defensive driving. There's been some great sort of moves from the fast guys, but I don't know if you can award a Matty Jones or a Phil Vella a Tempting Sweets award for passing 20 mid-packers.
I would argue... I would argue that it's either, for me right now, it's either Michael Cuttajar, because he's finished up near the front both races, or Nathan Verney. He's been a bit of a dark horse here tonight. He managed to get in the top 10, got himself started on pole for race 2, and then he stayed up the front, and he's now in a hot seat at the moment, P3, to get yet another podium here in a second of 3 races. Obviously the third of the races, though, here tonight. But a second podium could be on the cards for him at the moment.
Well, I think Nick Ryan and Brad Hudson are also in those games, 2 of the AMs that are punching well above their weight, up inside the top 7, both of them. Nick in 4th and Brad in 7th. So I think you're right, buddy. I think it's going to be one of these mid-packers that has managed to, put the whole night together.
Yeah.
Right? So at the moment,
I believe that was Soper.
Was that Brendan Soper getting his wave around? Yep.
Pricey as well in the chat. Has Spinovich crashed in any of these races tonight? I believe he's crashed in both of them so far. I don't think he's had an incident in this one, though. He's up 3 spots in this race from where he started, so he's in P20 at the moment. You see him there at the bottom of the timing tower. But it's always on the cards for the old Spinovich to have a bit of an incident, isn't it, Cowie?
There it is. Craig Platter has also had a pretty good recovery, because he was unfortunate what happened to Craig early on in race number 1, and he's fought his way back up inside the top 20 in race number 2, and then he's fought back into 14th position, now up 5 in race number 3. So he's another one of those guys that's having a great recovery race, pretty much no fault of his own. So, look, Jay Dixon is another name that we've just got to keep mentioning. Again, the contact with Matty Jones in race number 1, definitely not his fault. He did what he needed to do to get himself onto the front row for race number 2 and led that away, and so far he's sort of held his position at the moment. So quite a few names to talk about. You let us know. J-Mac reckons Verney is the man for him. Let us know out there, guys. We may well find that it might be your call out there that just tips that person over the edge tonight when things are that close and we're still discussing it.
The safety car has now pulled away as well, so we will be going green come lap 5. But as Cowie mentioned, get into the chat. Let us know who you think deserves Tempting Sweets driver of the night. I think maybe the 3 names we should put forward to them, Cowie, is Cuttajar, Verney, and Dixon, I would say, should be the 3 names that should be up for debate right now between them all.
I want to add Nick Ryan and Brad Hudson to that as well. You're hoping Callan gets up into the top 10. He does race nearly every night. He is mad. And here we are. Looks like the boys have gone green. Cuttajar trying to get out of the tow there. Darren Fay, he did read that pretty well. They caught Nathan Verney napping a little, and Nick Ryan is trying to make a move up the inside. Nathan closes the door, but then reopens it again, and that is Nick Ryan's going to get a chance to sweep around. Can he get it done before the next corner? Because you can hold the inside here. He's sweeping around, and looks like he's going to have that get it done before the next straight.
That little adjustment
Make you move around the outside there.
That little adjustment of steering there, I think, might have actually done a bit of a mischief there for Verney in terms of actually giving up the position, because it meant that he turned in slightly too early, so he actually had to adjust his line. It made him have to lift slightly to give up the position. So he's not out of the fight yet. He's still within the battle at the moment to Nick Ryan, who started this race on pole after starting P5 in the last race. But, you know, that's just one of those things where, again, we talk about the elite compared to the upper echelon. The elite drivers, they don't normally make those sorts of mistakes. They know their line and they stick to it. And that's kind of what's going to take them to the next level.
I think it was a little bit forced by Nick Ryan there, because he opened that door and as well.
Yeah.
You know, so... But it is one of those things, you know. I mean, look, Nathan's a very respectful driver, so maybe he saw that the door was that Nick was opening the door, and if he stayed down there, he was gonna, you know, Nick was gonna go into him. So that could be another thing. But yeah, so Callan Hodgkinson, have a look for you, Pricey. Where is he at the moment? He's running P11, so he's down 3 from his starting position, but he's right in the thick of things. Looks like he's got a scatter of kittens all around here, a posse of kittens.
They're
Andrew
all
behind him, David Gallo and Andrew Leiter in front, and Andrew Leiter having a move up the inside. Callan's seen him. We've seen here that you can stay around the outside here, but if Andrew stays around the outside and he can sweep down here, which he can't, you can get the, you know, you want to be on the inside for this corner.
That's
was
the difference. That was the difference there. You see there, Hodgkinson didn't have to adjust the steering through his entry. He kept his line as neat as possible and allowed him to keep the momentum through the corner. That's how you defend at that corner. You cannot allow for adjustment on entry or mid or exit of the corner. That's why Verney lost the spot.
Jay was talking about.
Yeah.
One of those things Jay was talking about, buddy, that you can divide an offensive line. You can see they're running a bit wide, but managing to get back out in front. So Andrew Leiden is definitely putting on the pressure, and you can see the Callan's defensive driving is just bunching up all these guys behind him, and the gap in front is now about 1.5 seconds. So just trying to fight and drive defensive just costs you so much time. Oh, it's contact there! Oh no, and that's we've got a cartwheeling car!
And that surely has got to be the magical third safety car, Cowie.
Sean Malloy caught up in that. Craig Platter. Was it Chris Swadling? That was our cartwheeling machine. That is amazing. Wow. Is there a call on the radio from, say, I don't know, because I think the cartwheeling car can't be called for a tow to pits without permission, because he flew over the safety, over the rail, over the fence.
Let's check it out. So they come round, there's contact.
So Chris Swadling has just lost the rear. He's made contact. Who's that with? That's one of the DFR boys. Who's that? And who's our cartwheeling machine?
Oh, I'm not sure. I can't even click on them. I think it was. I'm just blown away by that.
Is that Greg Johnson got caught up? That's not Greg's car.
No.
Did we see what number that was? Just go back, see if we can see. That was Chris Swadling, I think.
It was either Chris, Mitch, or someone else.
Sean Malloy, he got caught up in that as well.
I believe it was Chris.
Do we have a safety car? I don't think we do.
No, Daniel is not out on track, so we do not have a safety car at this point. And I think it's because we are kind of just off a safety car, and there's about 7 or so minutes to go.
Well, I think it's probably because the guys that got broke, apart from the car that decided to cartwheel outside the track, looked like Chris, yeah. I think you're right with that. It was Chris Swadling.
Every other car drove back to pits. Now,
that's what I was going to say, yeah. There's no sort of broken car left on the track to, be a hindrance and call out the safety car.
This is where one of the arguments can be made of there should be a safety car called. So if this was real racing and that crash happened, a safety car would be called because someone's flipped their car and ended up on the other side of the fence.
Well, it should have been, yes.
You know,
I think you're right. In the real world, who was it that flipped over?
So I know that
was it Sonoda?
Zhong,
Sonoda Silverstone last year.
No, it was Zhonghu Zhou. So Zhou did it.
Guangzhou, it was too.
Guangzhou.
It was too. It went over the barrier. Wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the rule should be the exception. 20-second stop-go penalty for car number 07, unsafe rejoin on lap 2 and lap 6.
That would be Stephen Brooks.
No, that's Doug Gowans.
Doug Gowans, yeah. So when he rejoined there, he was the catalyst for that carnage there in the middle of the track. And it's a 20-second stop and hold, so not just a drive-through. I think, race control decided that was a little bit harsh. They've been a bit more harsh on that, so feeling that it was a really, really silly moment. Unfortunately, Doug was having a pretty good race there, race number 1, and it's all fallen apart for me. Okay, so Phil Vella, he's come in and fixed his car up earlier on. Has he managed to avoid issue? He's up
18 positions.
18 spots at the moment, so he's having a pretty good recovery.
Jay Dixon's just come in the pits. He's got major damage. So I think he's been involved in something. I'll scroll through and see if I can find it. But we'll go back up to the leader for now. I'll call it out once I find it on my little screen here. I've just found it. So we'll get it up on screen for everyone at home. So this is the incident with Jay Dixon. So going up the hill.
Jones. That's Matty Jones behind him there as well. So Jay's gone to the inside. Matty's gone to the outside. There's a contact because they are close. And he's just got up on that curb in the rear of the car. No, he's controlled it well through there.
I reckon
he's
hooked
got up
it
on the
up.
curb of death.
Yeah, he's hooked it up on the curb of death on exit.
Oh, and who's that in front of him that's done it as well? Oh, no, so it's the car in front. He's trying.
Yeah.
Nothing Jay could do about that. Matty Jones trying to avoid it today. Hang on. We'll see if Matty avoided that or not as well.
We'll get it back at full speed for you.
I
think it was Nick Ryan.
I think Matty might have survived because he's still running P5. And it'd be hard to do that without a nose.
So drive-through penalty as well for car number 85, contact on lap 7.
Oh,
How has Matt Jones avoided that?
Wow. The other two behind have done pretty well there as well. Who was that? Scott Pocock and Nathan Burney. No, Darren Fahey getting through there. Was it? Yeah, so wow. And Nathan Burney. So the three of them seeing an open door and taking... so the penalties are coming out now. So unsafe rejoin for Doug Gowans. Adrian Loretti has been given a black flag as well for contact on lap 7. So, we're seeing these sort of quick guys in the mid-pack, and the fighting is so close. Phil Vella trying to get up the inside, but Callum Hodgkinson closing the door.
Phil is into the top 10. He's up 20 positions in this race so far. He is the biggest mover in this race. The biggest drop is Nick Ryan at the moment, minus 25 positions, although he was involved in that incident, massive incident, which would normally be a safety car if we weren't within the final 5 minutes of the race. But look at this now. Phil, I don't think he's going to be able to put pressure on Michael up the front. But what he is...
77's received a rear grid for next race. I think I just heard there, buddy.
Oh, so that will be... if I look at my list, that'll be Mitch McIntyre.
Mitch McIntyre. So, he's been penalised for contact there. And at the back, but I think he's still in the pit, or he's right at the back. He's already a lap down, so feeling that there's no point penalising him back there. So he's got a penalty carried over to the next race. So what's happened here?
Stephen Brooks.
Stephen Brooks has just gone a bit wide, got out on the gas there, running an OnlyFans livery. That's quite amusing there, Steve. Michael Carter, well,
flag.
It is a white flag, so it has come up on us really quickly, buddy.
It has.
So much action tonight. Michael Cuttajar with a 2.2 second lead over Darren Vay.
And he is
It's hard to see
he's
him
on
giving this
route.
one up.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
on route at the moment.
You know the problem though with this? Is it means we're only going to get to talk to 2 people tonight.
That's true, and we're not even going to be able to talk to the winner.
Michael, he's shy. I don't know why you won't get a microphone, Michael. We're going to keep hassling you.
I promise, Michael, we don't bite. Phil Vella's had
That's
an
right.
incident.
Oh
So
no,
could it have all been for nothing? Let's have a look. It's into turn 1. He goes to make it 3 wide, and that is
Callum.
questionable. Oh, that's questionable from Phil, I got to say.
I don't know. I think he was up alongside and Callum's turned into him.
I
So
think what the problem is, he's gone for the move. Callan's already going to enter the corner. So he's already going for his entry. He's not actually expecting him there to be alongside him, and then that's where the contacts happened.
it's possible. And, you know, one reason which I'm glad I am talking about it and not having to make a decision on it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think sometimes us racers can have blinders on when it comes to some incidents and what we think. But, you know, it can be completely different in the car. I mean, all right, well, this is the final turn, and it is Michael Cuttajar that will take out race number 3. So he has had a great evening podium in race number 1. He got himself into the podium for race number 2, and he's gone P1 for race number 3. So I think you're right, buddy. You know, podium in all 3 races, that has to be the Tempting Sweets Award.
Yeah. I think if Nathan would have actually gotten onto the podium for this final race, then we can make the argument that he could be given it tonight. But I think Michael, again, I mean, he does what he does best. And he.
Do we say to Michael that he needs to talk to us though to get it? You know.
You know what? That's not a bad deal actually. Must have microphone if you want to accept the chockies.
I think we'll let him slide, but I think, I think we might have to make it your final warning, Michael. You got to get a mic and start talking to us, buddy. We'd love to get your, your thoughts on the racing here.
We have Phil Vella in the green room. We might quickly drag him in just to ask him what happened there in that moment, just before we get our podium finishes in. Phil Vella, welcome into the green room. Sir,
on the green of the broadcast room.
Oh, broadcast room, sorry. Congratulations on your victory in race number 1 tonight, but 2 races in a row, I mean, bit of a disappointment in terms of just getting involved in incidents, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a clown fiesta out there tonight, to be honest. Even in that last race, like, I had Callan dead to rights and he just closes in on the apex after he spent the last 3 laps blocking. Like, it's a bit ridiculous, to be honest.
Oh, well, we'll have to see what race controller's got to say about it, buddy. But, I mean, it was definitely going to be a challenge for you fighting from the back there. And, you know, we saw from Matty Jones in race number 1, once you get back there, you've got to push super hard to try and get through. So, you know, a couple of safety cars give you an opportunity, mate. But I suppose you did have a healthy lead, and Jay didn't have it all his own that way that race either, buddy. So maybe you're still near the top, but I suppose that's racing, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's racing when it's this erratic, right, and this inconsistent. I mean, last week was racing, and that was great. This week, I don't know what's gotten into people's thought process around the blocking, the late apexes, the not holding brakes as they drift across the track. I mean, I think there are a lot of opportunities in race 2 to kind of realign that, but fast repair was gone because of the punt on lap 1. And then race 2, you know, car sliding across the track, there's not much you can do. You kind of pick left or right. I picked left, he picked no brakes, and that's where we were.
Sometimes it's the 50-50 call, buddy. Well, we know that you're a trooper, and we know that you're fast, buddy, so you'll be back next week and, you know, up near the front. Commiserations on tonight, buddy, but, you know, we'll to see how it goes next time.
Yeah, cheers,
all
guys.
You can do. Thanks,
see you
mate.
next week.
We've got Matty Jones in the green room as well, so bring Matty in to have a little bit of a chat, Matty. So, was that a bit of frustration in race number 1, buddy, and you calmed it down for race 2 with a good result through the field?
Oh, yeah. Race 1 was I made that error early getting into Dave, I think it was. Yeah, coming back through the field. Yeah, the power speed between the front guys and back guys is a lot more than I had anticipated, and there was a couple of guys that were, pretty much stopping in the middle of flat out corners and things like that, caught me unaware. So, yeah, no apologies to anyone I got stuck into then in the first race, and yeah, a few things for road control, how to mull over, I think.
Well, yeah, you're dropping in and out a little bit there, Matty, but I think we got the gist of what you were saying.
Sorry, man.
Buddy. That's all good, man. we got the gist of it, but so again, you said it was a little bit erratic back there, but you must have enjoyed trying to fight your way through. I suppose that second safety car in race number 2 gave you the opportunity to get near the front, and and then you had the battle again then up at another 9, buddy. So.
Yeah, no, it was good fun. A lot of passing and a lot of tracks and many parts opportunities. So we did a little bit there.
I think you're still breaking up with your mic there, in and out, buddy.
Sorry, mate. We'll leave it there. Catch with you.
It's unfortunate, but look, man, the car looked good, new paint. Tyson did up for you the other night, so she looked good out there, but looked a lot better on the track rather than in the air in race 1, mate.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, look, we might give you a chance to see if you can say the sponsors out there for Performance Sim Racing. Hopefully it comes through clear. But well done on your fight back tonight after, race number 1.
All right. Thanks, Cowie. Yeah, I'd like to thank Too Easy Finance, West End Motor Group, Cowie Music, West End Mazda. I think I've just dropped out.
No, you still got you.
Oh, sorry. My Discord's making a lot of noises.
Yeah.
And the Talk to Me Bro Men's Mental Health Initiative. Sorry, I need mic issues. Sorry, guys.
Awesome, man. Well, even though your mic was breaking up, the important thing was your internet did not fail you during the race, buddy, so well done.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate. Awesome. Now we got Darren Fahey in here. P2 there, buddy. Just couldn't quite catch Cutter, but made a pretty good result there, buddy.
Yep, it's been a while since I've spoken to you, Cowie, but yeah, Cuttajar's too quick, too consistent, and let's buy him a mic.
Yeah, I keep saying that. We've given him the Tempting Sweets Award for the night too, where we're going to maybe try and bribe him and say he won't get it until he gets a microphone. But yeah, look, how was that? You were mid-pack race number 1, but you got yourself inside that top 10. Race number 2, you put it in the right spots, buddy, and you're at the front. When you get to have a chat to us, man. So did it all go to plan, or just absolute chaos, and you landed with the tails pointing up?
So you needed to qualify well, which I think I did top 10 or something, and then keep it clean. It's impossible to pass. It's Cuttajar Mike Cuttajar got by me. But he's a different story. But sorry, I had a beer. I had a burp. He got past me, but other than that, it's really hard to pass. So you got to get out in front, defend well, and you're pretty much right.
I know Phil had a little bit to say about driving standards out there tonight. I suppose when you've got a narrow track like that, I suppose people can make pests of themselves out there from time to time.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I got blocked in quali, which I reckon would have got me about P4, P5. But I feel bad calling it out to the new guy. I hope he doesn't get put off by it. But you got to learn and start somewhere, and hopefully he doesn't get put off by it, and it helps him learn and get a little bit better over time.
Well, Amish, you want to have a chat to Darren? Unfortunately, we won't be getting our race winner in tonight, our Tempting Sweets Award winner. So give you a chance to rattle Darren's brain.
Oh, Darren, another impressive performance for you tonight. I guess we spoke to Jay earlier in the broadcast of kind of like some of the characteristics about this circuit and how it can bring for good viewing in terms of racing on screen compared to how it could be for a driver. Whether it's very diverse this circuit. You either love it or love it / like it, or you hate it. I'm on the realm of I hate racing on this circuit. So I guess it's one that I compare to Silverstone and Watkins Glen as like a combination, makes up this track with a couple of other little European track characteristics about it. So I guess, how did you find kind of preparing for this race this week? Is it a track that you enjoy driving around, or is it kind of one that you hope you don't see for a while in terms of F3 racing?
I don't mind the track. I prefer tracks where there's flow and you're not stopping and doing hairpins and right-handers. So I do prefer that type of track. As a race track, does it produce good racing? Not really. But I can't say I dislike it. I do okay here. So yeah.
Oh, P2 in the feature and sorry, go.
Sorry. I was just going to say, thank goodness it wasn't a 60-minute long race. I think the 3 split was good for here.
Oh, mate, a big congratulations to you, though, on your P2 here tonight. Let us know who's giving you support out there, and anyone else you want to give a shout-out to, mate. Just so we, the people at home know who to check out if they want to help support you, and also the people who support your team as well.
Yeah, first I'll thank Leanne, sweetheart, and my daughter Harper, who watches it sometimes. She's not doing it now; she's in bed. But Kittens always get behind us and give us a few nights out, which is good. AML Tech, they provide the IT support. Driver 808, who's kicking back in Hawaii, he'll be watching tonight, and I'd rather be him right now. He does all the paints and liveries for us. Yeah, and all the boys, DFR guys are pretty good. I enjoy racing with them. They're pretty clean. Yeah, shout out to everyone else that I didn't mention. Oh, thanks to the broadcast team. Thank you. It's been a while. I'm a bit out of script.
Well done.
Broadcast team and SRW for putting it on.
Awesome, buddy. Well done, mate. It was a good fight for you tonight, and definitely the lead kitten with the claws, mate. So you got bragging rights for a week.
Yeah, it's not bad being up the front. It's been a while.
Well done, buddy. Well, congratulations, Darren Fahey, taking out P2 in our feature race tonight. Well done there. Now, before we wrap things up, Hamish, and do the roulette wheel, because I know you've got that coming up.
Yep.
Just a clarification from race control there. Just wanted to say, look, sometimes they can't sort of catch everything. They were processing 10 to 12 incidents per race.
Yeah.
Trying to manage, getting the safety car out there. And so once you've got one of them driving the safety car, that makes it harder for them to process incidents and stuff. So sometimes, they're sort of saying they can't catch live racing because they're too busy watching replays. So, it also said they might put a bit of a careful warning out to the drivers there. Again, it's one of those things when you've got mid-pack battles. I can see mid-pack battles and cars that don't have brake lights. I can see where some of these incidents, are bound to happen when you've got 30-odd cars out there. But yeah, look, I think race control can, just remind everyone about moving under brakes and holding your line and all that. Again, when the faster guys are behind you, you want to hold them up, but sometimes it's better just to let them through and sit in their toe. So, but these things happen, and all the new guys to SRW League, we're not trying to hamp on you guys. Everyone has got to have room to learn, and hopefully we can make it a big fair sort of driving experience for everyone of all skill levels. All right, Hamish, I'm going to hand it over to you now, don't I, buddy? Have you got the wheel ready to go?
I've got it on my screen. There it is. Here we go. So this is the roulette wheel for the Thursday night roulette racing series. There are, I believe, 8 options. We've seen the Legacy Ferrari 488 GT3 and the Legacy Supercars as well. So we're going to see what we get tonight. Do you have a prediction, Kerry, what we might get out of the 8 options?
I'm thinking the MX-5 is due for a run, I'm thinking.
Okay, well, we'll see what we get. Let's give the wheel a bit of a spin. And we'll see what they get. It's the TCRs.
as well.
So
We
they
did say a few of the boys out there were missing the TCRs this season. We just didn't get the numbers for it, guys. Well, now's your chance to jump in and show your support for those cars and hopefully have an awesome field on Thursday night.
And then obviously the old prerequisite wheel spin to see what it could have been. It will be the TCRs, but what it could have been, the SR8 Radicals. I was actually going to say maybe it could be the Radicals
Jeez,
this
I
week.
might have jumped on and raced that if it was a Radical.
Yeah, so, but it will be the TCRs tomorrow night. It is, of course, both the Shannons GR86's Nationals and the Warren and Brown Tools Roulette Series tomorrow night here live on SRW TV. So be sure if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, click the bell as well so you are notified anytime we go live here on SRW TV. A massive thank you to all of our supporters out there and our sponsors, being our title sponsors for our series out there is Simrig, Shannons, and of course Warren and Brown Tools as well. And thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you to Cowie as well for coming in here every week with me and chatting about racing and commentating. It's such a great series to call, and it's been so enjoyable this season. So where are we heading to next week, Cowie, for round 4?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'll have a quick look. I was going to say it's sort of one of those series that I reckon if I wasn't talking about it, I'd be racing it. The problem being that it is so hard to focus on more than one car, so it does make it interest. Well, next week is Spa Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, so that will be interesting, and it is a sprint, so it'll be a 20-minute and 40-minute race. So, and I'm pretty sure that will be matching the F1s as well. So I'll have to keep an eye out to see if the driver 808 Daniel Byrne is back for that one. We're going to see some movement in the ladder, I think, after tonight, buddy. But at 3 races, the points are a little bit more condensed. So we'll have to see how it all pans out. But mate, another cracker night for our Shannons Formula 3 Nationals.
Mate, it's been absolutely massive, and just to round out tonight, we thank everyone for watching, of course. We thank you for, if you've been here all season. And if you're enjoying the action as well, please let us know. Get onto our socials. Comment on our Facebook page, SRW TV, Sim Racing World TV on Facebook. Be sure if you want to get involved in the series as well, hop on to www.simracingworld.com.au to sign up and to be involved in the series. In fact, I think the link for it, oh no, I don't have the link on the footer, unfortunately. I'll have to get it up for the next race and make sure that is all absolutely perfected for next time out. But from Hamish Munro and my co-commentator here tonight, it's Cowie, your average sim racer, Andrew Cowan. This has been the Shannons Formula 3 Nationals live from Hungaroring. We will see you next time for round 4 at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Thank you for your time. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
To turn 1, this is amazing. Up to clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert, Cam Waters, almost